Of the Daily Post newspaper. I'll start with the headlines before we move to details of the stories we want to look at this morning. Joining me for analysis is Honorable Femi Adebisi. When it's time, you get to hear his voice. You can be a part of the conversation on Press Drive. You can call the studio lines, which I'll open when it's time. On Facebook, you can watch us live at I-FLIER 103.3 FM at I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. Like, share, follow us. And if you want to react to the stories this morning, do feel free to drop a comment right there. Once again, good morning and welcome to Press Drive right here on I-FLIER 103.3 FM IBADAN. Let's start with the headlines of the Punch newspaper this morning. Tinubu National Assembly face fresh criticism over 2024 budget extension. Tinubu National Assembly face fresh criticism over 2024 budget extension. Port Harcourt refinery shutdown enters second month. Port Harcourt refinery shutdown enters second month. Iran-Israel marketers urge government to prevent fuel price hike. Iran-Israel marketers urge government to prevent fuel price hike. Senate seeks federal government state synergy to harness solid minerals. Senate seeks federal government and state synergy to harness solid minerals. Riders threaten protest over federal government's failed CNG tricycle promises. Riders threaten protest over federal government's failed CNG tricycles promises. NYSC denies service extension for corps member who criticized President Tinubu. NYSC denies service extension for corps member who criticized Tinubu. Tobacco kills 1.3 million non-smokers yearly, World Health Organization says. Tobacco kills 1.3 million non-smokers yearly, World Health Organization says. 15 education colleges to award degrees NCE concurrently. 15 education colleges to award degrees NCE concurrently. Now to Benue and Plateau State. 53 suspects arrested for Benue and Plateau killings for arraignment, says IG. 53 suspects arrested for Benue, Plateau killings for arraignment, IG says. Ebonyi residents reject open grazing. Ebonyi residents reject open grazing. Insecurity, clergy urges federal government to seek external support. Insecurity, clergy urges federal government to seek external support. Away from insecurity, group backs calls for Tinubu's re-election. Group backs calls for President Tinubu's re-election. Violence at SDP headquarters as Gabam dispute suspension. Violence at SDP headquarters as Gabam dispute suspension. Away from that, federal government and Lagos commit to business-friendly reforms. Federal government, Lagos commit to business-friendly reforms. Lagos to commence e-numbering of houses to check tax evasion. Lagos to commence e-numbering of houses to check tax evasion. Over 100 killed as Bello Turji Zamfara guards clash. Over 100 killed as Bello Turji and Zamfara guards clash. Group advocates Interethnic Peace Commission to halt killings. Group advocates Interethnic Peace Commission to halt killings. Let's now go through the last of headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning. Group warns against Kanu's continued detention. Group warns against Kanu's continued detention. Ex-lawmaker tasks government on insecurity in Imo. Ex-lawmaker tasks government on insecurity in Imo. And away from insecurity to politics, group endorses Iwinfuru for second term. Group endorses Iwinfuru for second term. Igbo Union endorses Ayajoku 2025. Igbo Union endorses Ayajoku 2025. And finally, on the Punch newspaper this morning, going through some of its headlines. Nance gives Wike 7 days to reopen Abuja schools. Nance gives Wike 7 days to reopen Abuja schools. And I'm seeing another one here which says Army condemns video alleging attack plan on Southeast. Army condemns video alleging attack plan on Southeast. Now to the Nation newspaper this morning. Let's go through some of its headlines. More confusion in PDP over Ayawu. More confusion in PDP over Ayawu. Benue Plateau killings, we've arrested 53 suspects, says Egbetokun. We've arrested 53 suspects, says Egbetokun. Brazilian-backed $1 billion initiative to overhaul agriculture sector. Brazilian-backed $1 billion initiative to overhaul agriculture sector. What APC must do to win Oyo in 2027? What APC must do to win Oyo in 2027? Who said that? Adelabu. Okpebolo seeks a 100 billion naira loan to finance infrastructural project. Okpebolo seeks 100 billion naira loan to finance infrastructural project. Lagos APC council chairman should reside in their domain. Lagos APC council chairman should reside in their domain. Other headlines on the Nation newspaper includes President Tinubu's visit to Benue, people's expectations going forward. President Tinubu's visit to Benue, people's expectations going forward. Away from that, in Ibadan, soccer accident claims 5 in Ibadan. Soccer accident claims 5 in Ibadan. Now let me go through the last set of headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning because of our time. Eradiri to Atiku. Suspend your ambition to protect Niger Delta. Preserve Nigeria's unity. Eradiri to Atiku. Suspend your ambition to protect Niger Delta. Preserve Nigeria's unity. Reno Mokri says we packaged Obi as Atiku's running mate in 2019. We packaged Obi as Atiku's running mate in 2019. President declines assent to National Assembly's Library Trust Fund bill. President declines assent to National Assembly's Library Trust Fund bill. And finally, on the Nation newspaper this morning, federal government to arraign multi-choice Qatar Airways CEOs, others October 7th. Federal government to arraign multi-choice Qatar Airways CEOs, others October 7th. Finally, let's quickly round off with the headlines with the Daily Post newspaper. And on the politics section of the Daily Post newspaper, 24 Akwa Ibom lawmakers defect from PDP to APC. 24 Akwa Ibom lawmakers defect from PDP to APC. 2027, I don't want to jump from fry pan to fire. Ondume speaks on joining coalition. 2027, I don't want to jump from frying pan to fire. Ondume speaks on joining coalition. Ondume still speaking, Tinubu could make me dump APC. Tinubu could make me dump APC, says Ondume. Away from the politics section, Group urges Igbos to defend themselves against herdsmen attack. Group urges Igbos to defend themselves against herdsmen attack. Crisis, Reps launches ad hoc committee to address security challenges in Plateau State. Others. Crisis, Reps launches ad hoc committee to address security challenges in Plateau. Others. Finally, on the Daily Post newspaper this morning, I'm seeing two. Okay. Benue State, I'm deeply saddened. Aliyah reacts to murder of travelers. Benue State, I'm deeply saddened. Governor Aliyah reacts to murder of travelers. El Rufai, this is where you got it all wrong. Undume tells Tinubu. This is where you got it all wrong. Undume tells Tinubu. Undume is saying a lot of things this time. Again to El Rufai. You are suffering consequences of what you did to Amechi. You are suffering consequences of what you did to Amechi. Undume tells El Rufai. All right, with the headlines of the Daily Post newspaper, we wrap up with the headlines this morning. Let's delve into the details of the stories we want to look at this morning. Joining me for analysis is Honorable Femi DBC. It's a pleasure to have you on Press Drive this morning.
Yeah, morning. My best wishes this morning is good morning to you, as well as listeners. Good morning. I wish you the best of the day.
Thank you. All right, let's just delve into the stories very quickly because of our time. And of course, we'll be starting with insecurity. There's so many updates on some of the issues that we've been looking at for some weeks now. And I'll start with this. Crisis. Reps launches ad hoc committee to address security challenges in Plateau. Others. The House of Representatives has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to convene a special security conference on the security challenges in Plateau State and beyond. Speaking at the ceremony on Tuesday in Abuja, the chairman of the committee, Reps Ahmed Waheed, representing Lagos APC, decried the incessant crisis in the state. He said that the security challenges in Plateau had persisted for too long, adding that the recurring cycle of violence had left many communities in sorrow as well as displaced many families. According to the chairman, he went on to say stakeholders expected at the conference are youth, women groups, researchers, and political actors who would engage in sincere, in-depth discussions and generate sustainable solutions. Now, away from that, I'm seeing a story as regards IG. 53 suspects arrested for Benue, Plateau killings for an arraignment. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on Tuesday said no fewer than 53 suspects have been arrested in connection with the recent wave of deadly attacks in Benue and Plateau State. He said the suspects would be arraigned in court without delay for their roles in the brutal attack. Addressing journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, the IGP described the June 13 massacre in the Yellowwater community of Benue State as coordinated attack of terror. He said 26 were arrested for the attack in Yellowwater, 22 suspects in connection with the Plateau incident, and another 5 in Benue for a more recent attack in Makurdi. Okay, then he also said that 47 persons were killed and 27 were injured in the Yellowwater attack, adding that the 2 general purpose machine guns and 8 AK-47 rifles used in the attack were recovered. He also wanted to say so many other things, but then 53 suspects arrested for Benue Plateau killings for arraignment, says IG. And then we're also looking at this crisis. Reps launches ad hoc committee to address security challenges in Plateau. Others. Let's start with those stories.
Well, beginning with the proposed meeting of the National Assembly to sort out insecurity issues in Nigeria. Well, I think, for the fact that they are thinking that way, I think it's commendable.
Okay.
But then, of course, they are getting nowhere with that kind of meeting. If you look at the composition of the people they are inviting, in fact, they are inviting the youth, the women, politicians and all those stuff, In fact, maybe they would have included even the children or the infants. They know, the people who are to be invited if they are so sincere about that particular meeting. They know that the bulk of the issue lies with the politicians who are, taking, advantage of the volatility of Nigeria, to perpetrate insecurity for their selfish gain politically. They know where the crisis lies. They know who are involved. They know themselves. So rather than, having a closed-door meeting with those people, rather than having a closed-door meeting with even Mr. President, who failed to develop the necessary political will, the necessary courage to sort things out. And somebody said recently, and I admire that particular person, said, Mr. President needs to sacrifice something. And that is his second-term ambition, to get over insecurity issue in Nigeria. The moment you still want to go for second term, and working assiduously towards that, you are not likely to get over anything that has to do with insecurity in Nigeria. Why? Because there will be compromises along the road.
Okay.
So, given that, I think that particular man is speaking. Yes, in fact, we need to be statespeople. We need to shed weight. We need to lose something to get something for the larger public in Nigeria if we are indeed statespeople. So, likewise, somebody was speaking with Article 2. He said, look, if you want Nigeria to move forward, if you are thinking Nigeria, yes, you need to do away with your ambition. The issue of all this ambition and this and that, thinking that if you are yet to become the president, you are not. So, yeah, that is that. And regarding our high GP, yes, he mentioned 53 arrests. I think 26 in Yelewata,
22 in
22 in Plateau, and 5 in Benue. Yeah. Well, I don't know by the president that look, all this happened under your watch, IGP, and no arrest had been made. Now afterwards, they are not making arrest. So I don't know what is wrong. I don't know whether our armed forces and the police, they need command at each point in time for them to do the needful. I don't know what. I don't know. Yes, well, arrests have been made. I think, yes, after about 47 fatalities now, people that have died and 27 people injured. Yes, that is against the statistics of about 200 that we have been having. That has been highly amplified. Yeah, be that as it may, 47, 200. Yes, death is death. So what happened? What's the next thing? We have seen cases where the so-called terrorists have been jailed and pardoned and pampered and given, put on monthly stipends and all that, only for them, about 30,000 of them, to return back to where they come from and keep, doing their normal businesses. They have developed long throat, and whatever government is giving to them, that stipend might not be satisfactory to them. So they will always want to go back. So that is the issue. So now my question now is, what is the government doing with these 53 suspects we are talking about? What are they doing?
Away from insecurity, I think we've addressed, these are the stories that are related to insecurity for now. Now let's come to this. President declines, I'm reading two stories too from here. President declines access to National Assembly's Library Trust Fund bill. The president has written a letter to the House of Representatives declining his assent to the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Establishment Amendment Bill 2025 into law. The bill seeks to transform the National Assembly Library Trust Fund into the National Assembly Resource Center. In the president's letter read at plenary by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, the president cited some constitutional, policy, and fiscal issues which he said were capable of disrupting existing governance systems and creating a problematic legal precedent. President Tinubu acknowledged the bill's well-intended meaning and objectives, but expressed reservations about certain clauses that appear to conflict with established federal statutes and administrative policies. Now, away from that, there's another story here that I want us to look at together. Brazilian-backed $1 billion initiative to overhaul agriculture sector. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to deepening bilateral cooperation with Brazil. He spotlighted the $1 billion Green Imperative Program as a transformative initiative to overhaul Nigeria's agricultural sector through technology-driven solutions and strategic capacity building. The president spoke after receiving the Vice President of Brazil, Gerardo Alckmin, at the Villa in Abuja yesterday. Trust Fund bill.
Well, the National Assembly Library Trust Fund, yeah, beginning with that, not as if the president rejected in its entirety, but of course, that particular bill is an indictment on the part of the National Assembly with all the resources at their disposal. I don't know. They were unable to know that particular bill infringed on certain, provisions of Nigerians' constitution and laws. So, especially as touching funding, as touching tax and all those. So that was what the government, what the executive arm of government quickly discovered and said, look, we need to transmit this back to you. So go and do the needful. Go through it, go through it again and return. But of course, how many people do you think we have at the National Assembly? So I don't think we should. I'm very sorry to say, I don't think it is healthy for those gentlemen, for those big men, to appear as if they are collective nuisance. I don't think it is healthy enough. So they need to please genuinely do the job they ought to do. So and the other story, the Brazilian $1 billion Greek initiative, Yes, I think that was dated, that particular initiative was dated back to sometime last year, maybe up to, going to about a year now. I don't know what has happened. In fact, that particular initiative was to develop Nigerian agriculture even down to local government level. In fact, they said that, something will be going on through that initiative in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria. And of course, I kept wondering, Brazil, Nigerian agriculture, $1 billion. Well, I don't know. It's not as if it's a grant, it's a loan. So I don't know why we failed to, probably, look inward for solutions to most of our problems, because there are solutions in-house. I don't know why we have just developed long truth for loans and grants and all those stuff. I don't know. I think the earlier we keep looking inward, the better, because like the Yorubas will say, so I don't know. Maybe somebody is benefiting from that. I don't know. And of course, I want to salute His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu on about 2,000 tractors that the executive arm of government procured recently. Likewise, other agri machineries and inputs. He's a highly commendable one. But of course, the government there is like there are issues surrounding that particular initiative on his commissioning. That has to do with the president's neighbor in Chicago. That's Alexander Sigman, a Belarusian businessman. So whom the president claimed that he happened to be his neighbor. I don't know. But of course, something needs to be fact-checked in that particular story.
Okay.
Yes. There have been a whole lot of things over the newspapers and social media, saying that the president lied once again, that he called, Sigma his classmates and all that.
Okay,
so
okay.
I've been trying to fact check that.
Chicago classmates.
Yes, Chicago classmates. It has been all over the news. So if the president truly mentioned that Zingima is his classmate, I think it's likely to be a slip of tongue. Yes.
A slip of tongue.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yes.
A slip of tongue.
Yeah, it is either the president was misquoted, because being a neighbor is different from being a classmate.
Okay.
Yeah, because the man actually attended another university in Chicago and not the same Chicago State University.
Okay.
Which so they might be, and they might regard themselves as neighbors, because according to my own findings, Zingima was I think he attended I think way back in 2021 this particular Zingima had a whole lot of story. He attended that particular place. I think that man should be about 13 years by the time in 1979 when Tinubu left Chicago State University. So the possibility of the two of them being classmates, I mean, is completely out of the matter.
Okay.
So, something must have happened along the road. It's either the president was misquoted, or, maybe a slip of tongue, or maybe a kind of attempt to further, attempt to cover something. I don't know. But of course, something must have happened, and it needs clarification from our president anyway. Because Zingima, by the virtue of his age, in fact, he attended a different school. So then they did not attend the same school according to my own findings. So something must have happened along the road.
Okay. Away from that, let's come to President Tinubu. National Assembly face fresh criticism over 2024 budget extension. The Senate and the House of Representatives have, for the second time, extended the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget to December 31st, 2025, sparking reviewed criticism against President Bola Tinubu and the National Assembly. Economists, financial experts, and the organized private sector have described the repeated extensions as evidence of poor execution capacity by ministries, departments, and agencies. Others argue the move may undermine fiscal discipline and complicate tracking of budget performance. The Red Chamber made the resolution to extend the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget to December 31st, 2025 during the plenary on Tuesday, following the amendment of the appropriation bill requesting an extension. The Deputy Senate President, Barau Jibrin, who presided over the plenary, announced extension of the appropriation bill following its first, second, and third reading expeditious package. The appropriation bill was considered at the Senate Committee on Supply. Okay, this particular story, Tinubu and National Assembly face fresh criticism over 2024 budget extension. We'll look at it after we go on this break, because we really have to go on this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Femiel Multiventures, your ultimate shopping destination, stands out when it comes to meeting your event and family needs. Explore our wide range of products and services today. Buy affordable wholesale foods and drinks for your next event or home use. We are also the best blog to get your rentals, chairs, plates, spoons, tables, coolers, drums, and all you need for your next event. At Femiel Multiventures, we also sell solid, durable, and affordable ice blocks to keep your drinks cool and refreshing. Come one, come all to also try our eatery and experience delicious meals like never before. You can find us at number 1 Pineapple Area, Iletutun, along Oki Ogunbade axis. Telephone 0912-345-4561 or 0904-254-5770. Femiel Multiventures, your one-stop shop, evidence of things not seen.
Thank you very much for staying with us. All right, let's come to this particular story we want to look at. Tinubu National Assembly face fresh criticism over 2024 budget extension.
Well, extending the 2024 Appropriation Act to December 31, 2025, comes with, several significant economic implications for Nigeria. As they highlight the delicate balance the government must maintain, between stimulating growth and ensuring fiscal responsibility and discipline. Well, this means that Nigeria will operate with two, concurrent budgets. The extended 24 budget and the 2025 budget. Already 2025 is at the middle now, so you know that. So this could lead to complexities in budget management and allocation of resources. The extended budget may affect revenue projections, especially if the government relies on the same revenue sources for both budgets. Can you understand now? And because when you are talking about budget, when you appropriate, so you should have a means of, a projection, so that this is the income I'm expecting, to, satisfy this particular budgetary needs. So if you have if these the resources, the revenue remain the same, and then you are talking about two budgets, so how will you be able to cope? So I think clarity on budget extension can enhance investors' confidence. So we need to be very clear about this. And remember, during the time of Buhari, in fact, there was a particular year we were operating 3 budgets at a time. I think the ideal thing when it comes to budgetary is that it is not out of place that a government should the government can have what you call rolling plan, maybe a 5-year program, in which you will have to, spend, money that will have to roll from one budget to the other. So what you simply need to do is that, okay, yes, for 5 years, I'm doing this. So for this year, I'm appropriating this. For the next year, I'm appropriating this. So, and if you don't spend everything, so you need to retire. So let there be clarity. So that is the way we have been doing it before. I don't know how things just change just like that. They are just making things so ambiguous so that government businesses will not be, so comprehensible to the ordinary man on the street. So I think the government should do more in enhancing what you call, fiscal, clarity and, responsibility.
All right. Let's come to this before we go to politics. Port Harcourt refinery shutdown enters second month. The shutdown of the Port Harcourt Refinery Company for maintenance has entered its second month as the plant has yet to resume operations. According to a report by Punch, the immediate past chief corporate communications officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Olufemi Shoneye, told Punch correspondent on May 23rd that the refinery will be shut down for maintenance. On May 24th, Shoneye issued an official statement announcing the shutdown of the refinery for maintenance. However, more than 1 month later, the refinery has yet to start producing fuel. Local petroleum marketers who had once expressed their concerns over the shutdown of the facility told Punch correspondents that the repair work was still ongoing, and the correspondent reports that the NNPC did not have a spokesperson as of the time of filing this report. And of course, efforts were made to contact the state-owned firm through the phone number and email address displayed on its website, but to no avail. Now, let's put that story together with another story that I want us to look at, talking about the Iran-Israel war. I beg your pardon. Iran-Israel marketers urge government to prevent fuel price hike. As the conflict between Iran and Israel continues to disrupt global oil markets, fuel marketers have urged the federal government to implement urgent measures to prevent petrol and diesel prices from becoming unaffordable for Nigerians. Although crude oil prices dropped below $70 per barrel on Tuesday, the recent sharp rise in their cost, driven by tensions in the Middle East, had already begun to reflect to the government's oil revenue projections of $75 per barrel benchmark. It also led to higher costs of refined petroleum products from key suppliers, including the Dangote refinery, petroleum refinery. And of course, there are other analysis as to the increase, the drop, and all of that. As a result, marketers are calling on the administration of President Bola Tinubu to introduce mechanisms that would ensure the affordability of fuel, especially for low-income earners. So Iran-Israel marketers urge government to prevent fuel price hike. And then Port Harcourt refinery shutdown enters second month.
Well, let me just say it categorically that Port Harcourt refineries are dead.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
They are dead. A dead horse. You are only deceiving yourself. Or maybe deceiving the public, because the one who is trying to wake up the dead horse knows that the horse is dead and cannot come alive. So just taking advantage of the ignorance of Nigerians, So as a way of siphoning in money. Do you know how much money they have spent? Do you know how much money that have been alleged to have been stolen? All those stuff. And I kept saying it. I said, look, all these are dead and you can't revive. How can you? I don't know how you can say that you are reviving analog, equipment compared to the type of Dangote's, refinery lines. I don't know. You can't marry the two together, and you claim no, they can't produce. In fact, it was claimed that they now need to go ahead and start fabricating spare parts. Fabrication. So it cannot work. We said that, and Obasanjo said, "Look, set this thing off." The Speaker of the House of Rep, Abbas, said, "Look, this thing can't work. Sell it off." Yes, when meaning Nigeria, Obasanjo even, let us know. He reminded us of his time when he even sold us those two refineries to Dangote's and other conglomerates. So, which was reversed by his predecessor. Had it been that they have taken over, maybe we would have gotten over all this issue of this stealing and all this nonsense they are talking about. So, that as for me, Dangote, the refineries, the so-called refineries, they are gone. So all we need to do is to make sure that we open up NNPC, rejig it in such a manner that the government, the shareholding will be liberalized in such a manner that private investors will need to come in, bring fresh ideas, bring in money. And you see, when private sectors bring in money, they will not want a situation whereby somebody will be stealing their money. And they cannot be stealing their own money. I hope you understand now. So there will be fresh idea, there will be what you call accountability, there will be liquidity, there will be better listed on the floor of the stock exchange. So, the investors in the new NNPC now, that I'm now projecting now. So, we want to, probably do away with those 4 lines we are having in all the 4 refineries and get the best after the order of Dangote. Imagine if that happens. What do you think will happen in Nigeria? Then considering the issue of Iran-Israeli war that is leading to, global upsurge of what you call crude oil. Yes. Well, I don't know what the federal government can do. But thank God that particular war is subsiding. Yes, Iran yesterday has signified their intention to honor the ceasefire. And of course, Israel goofed. After the ceasefire, they kept on firing and they have said sorry. So they are now meeting. The NATO is meeting, and and it's like the pivot. I'm talking about the America now. I'm talking about Trump. Yes, he has been asserting his position as the world police, and he's doing that well. Yes, he told us 2 days ago that look, the war is ending.
Okay. And
when he said that, yes, there are signals that it is ending. So because we are now witnessing what we call ceasefire. So that one will probably, put our mind to rest as touching, global upsurge in crude oil, which may lead to fuel price hike. And of course, should that be, well, I think, we are having a deregulated oil market in Nigeria, and there's nothing the government can do to prevent, upward review of fuel pump price unless they now introduce again what you call subsidy. So there's nothing they can do outside of that.
All right, thank you. Let's come to politics before we open the phone lines and take reactions from our listeners at home. Let me start with this. Eradiri to Atiku. Suspend your ambition to protect Niger Delta. Preserve Nigeria's unity. Former president of the Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide, Udengs Eradiri, has advised erstwhile Vice President Atiku Abubakar to jettison his presidential ambition. In a statement yesterday, Eradiri told Atiku that his serial failed bids to occupy the Aso Rock Villa had done untold damage to the development of the Niger Delta and destroyed the reputation of some of the respected leaders from the region. Eradiri, who is a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, argued that Atiku's insensitive and desperate ambition to become president was threatening the peace of the country. Okay, and this goes on and on. I want to add this particular story with another story, politics also. Okay, and I'm seeing something about Reno Omokri saying that they packaged Obi to be Atiku's running mate. Okay. Reno Omokri says, we packaged Obi as Atiku's running mate in 2019. A former presidential leader said ex-Anambra State Governor Peter Obi was selected as the running mate to ex-vice president in 2019 through the effort of key allies of former president Goodluck Jonathan. He posted this on the social media yesterday. Followed up with phone calls seeking to be considered for the position. He also went on to say that he threatened to give more evidence to Obi if the former governor denied the claim. That's Reno Omokri. Then the statement has sparked mixed reactions online, with some questioning the motive behind the revelation and others urging political actors to focus on developmental discourse rather than personal attacks. Obi has not responded to the claims as of press time last night. So Reno Omokri, we packaged Obi as Atiku's running mate in 2019.
Yeah, well.
And Eradiri to Atiku, suspend your ambition to protect
well, yeah, of course. Somebody had advised, Obi. Advise Atiku to suspend his ambition. Yes, let's agree that he suspend his ambition. And I mentioned it a few days ago, that, you see, the moment we begin to think that the problem of Nigeria has to do with key political figures, we are missing it. The problem is systemic. It's the system. And if you don't want cobwebs, all you need to do is to kill the spider. So this is the system we need to rejig. I'm telling you. Okay, Mr. President Tinubu, as far as I know him, very brilliant and articulate, and meant so well for Nigeria in the time past before he became the president. Yes, he's there now. What has he done? In what way has he been able to affect, the life of the ordinary man? It is the system. The system has been designed to run the way Nigeria is running today. And if you don't halt that system, I'm telling you, and that's why Wole Soyinka said, look, Nigeria needs reconfiguration. And when you reconfigure something, it's like your phone now, say, okay, I want to, so it means that you need to wipe away everything that's there, then you now begin to reinstall. So that is not what Nigeria needs. So I'm not fascinated. So, whether somebody relinquishes ambition or whatever, if you are relinquishing to whom? So that is my question. So coalition, and of course I said, look, the problem is not that of APC. The problem is that of the entire political elite, because APC is a kind of, it's uniplural. When you say alliance of whom? Alliance of the better part of PDP, Labour Party, and all others. So it's an alliance. It's all of them wrapped together. So, and when you are mentioning coalition again, you are talking of coalition of what you call collective. I'm sorry to say that, because they've been constituting themselves as nations, collective nations. So, what will you get out of that? Well, as for Reno, I'm not a fan of Reno, because people that like ideology, people you cannot pinpoint that this is where they are today, because you will see them somewhere later today again. So I don't fancy people like that. And for Reno, he said we, not in fact, he said we. And who are those we? Because that particular story, you said Atiku had not replied. He has replied already.
Peter Obi.
Yeah, Peter Obi. Okay, Peter Obi. He said they are the one. It's like who packaged him to become the president.
He brought his CV and he followed up on it.
Well, he was just fine tuning what he had said before. In fact, I was saying that he was one of those people that made him in the vice. So I think, if I said something about Atiku, if he said, that story has to do with the last election in PDP. Now, he said that he was the one. Yes. I remember that particular story very well. Okay. It was after he got the ticket, he went to Obasanjo, and Obasanjo said, no, gentleman, who is your running mate? I said, he's here to decide. He said, okay, how about Okonjo-Iweala? And Atiku replied that Okonjo is not in our party. Okay, all right, no problem. How about Charles Soludo? I said, Charles Soludo too is an Habga man, so it's not in the party. Okay. It was Obasanjo that suggested Obi. Said, how about Obi? Said, Obi might look like that, like it. And that was how Obi came in. Yes, of course, when they now come to the issue of,
and the guest house for relaxation and comfort. Why settle for less when you have the best? Located beside Eagle Flight Academy, Amero, along Oki Ogunbade axis, Ibadan. Visit Femiel Multipurpose Hall today or call us on 0912-345-4561 or 0904-245-5770 for bookings and inquiries. Femiel Multipurpose Hall. Experience more, enjoy more.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's open the phone lines at this point to take your calls, your reactions, your views on these stories. 0705 500 1033, 0905 444 1033, 0705 500 1033, 0905 444 1033. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Caleb Alabi from Alaga Road. I just want to comment on the extension of budget, 2024 budget that has been extended to December 2025. While on the other hand, 2025 also is still go on. That is, we are running budget concurrently. That is, both are running pari passu. They will be thrown to conclusion. From our knowledge of budget, it's supposed to run for a year, that is 12-month calendar year. Was this concurrent budget? I don't know. Secondly, I want to commiserate with the relative of those who lost their life at this accident that occurred at Soka yesterday. I pray that God will comfort their family. That's my comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Caleb. We appreciate your comments. Thank you for the call. Remember, you can also drop a comment on our Facebook page at I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. At I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. Like, share, follow us, and do comment if you want to react to the stories this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
This Prince for me, I definitely calling from Apata. I agree with the brilliant analyst in the house.
Good morning, my prince.
Good morning, sir. We need a system in Nigeria that will make everything go well with us in this country. We are not orderly in Nigeria. We don't do things in order. You can imagine 2024 budget will be in the current one. Look at the way American president has been demonstrating since he assumed power. This man is updoing. This is a country that system is working. We need a system, most especially that will make corruption a capital offense in the country. Because if we don't fight corruption, because it's one of our major problems, and 1999 Constitution has amended, it's also a corrupt document being presented to us. How can we now, how can our leaders ensure good governance when the Constitution itself it's fraudulent? That's my submission.
Thank you very much, Prince Bonadi Fusi. Appreciate your comment. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, ma.
Please turn on the volume on your radio set, sir.
Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Baba. You are welcome, sir.
Hello.
Oh.
We can hear you loud and
clear. Good morning, sir.
Comrade.
Oh, my comrade. Good morning, sir.
That budget, that 2025 budget,
not fraudulent.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe you want to say that it's not people-centered. That it was born out of a decree and not out of the will and of the people and so maybe you want to mention the moment the National Assembly gave it legitimacy, then of course it's no longer fraudulent. So that's the way it is.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's go on our Facebook page. Let's check some of the comments that are present right there. I have from what's his name? Aroni Yaya. He says, well done. I see your comments. Thank you very much for that. Also, Pastor Dr. Mukala Famiwa, I also see your comment. He says, the federal government, said on security, God is our security. Federal government has disappointed us. We should be careful wherever we go. Almighty God will continue to protect us. All right, thank you very much. Olugadia Jawo says, good morning. Thank you for your comment. Sulaiman Sharif, I see your comment, says, good morning and kudos to everyone in the studio. Thank you. Budget performance that's not more than 30 to 40% in most instances. Yet they are making budgets year in, year out. Running how many budgets now concurrently? So obvious why the Mr. President insisted on his choice of the present Senate and House leadership at the National Assembly. Thank you for your comment, Sulaiman Sharif. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Please, I want to Honorable.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between 1979 Constitution and this present 1999 Constitution?
Yes, it's so narrow. In fact, they what they did was review of 1979 Constitution is what you have in 1999. In fact, it was even watered down. It was made worse. It was 1979 was a bit fair, But this one is okay. We have a constitution. Then that's the people. That's the office of the citizen. They have disappointed us. So when they say something on our behalf, unfortunately, that stays.
All right. Thank you. Please do call back to Facebook. We have this from Ademola Adeba, which is quite a long read. He says, good morning, Sister Esther. Thank you, Honorable. May your wisdom and knowledge keep increasing in Jesus' name. Amen. He said, please, Sister Esther, you need to work on time. And because the time, okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. All right, thank you for the corrections. We appreciate. Honorable, please, Tinubu did not make slip of tongue about the so-called classmate, as you said. He's only trying to add value to himself. The man is full of deception. But let's forget about that. The issue of Iran and Israel, God will surely intervene and the war will be over. As for me, I pray that coalition works to better us in Nigeria. All shall be well. Adebayo from Fakambi Okyosho. Thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Adebayo, for your comment. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome, sir.
I am still daily. I'm calling from Ukiri.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Esther, how are you, sir? Man.
Fine, thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, don't go to the point. Are we full? Can we become a full person? Regarding the budget they are talking about, to extend it to another time. A good budget must be wrong within a year.
One financial year.
The one they did the other time, 2024, and this one, how competent this National Assembly is, I don't understand. Why? And Baba says a lot of things. Our problem is a system, systematic, generally speaking. If I enjoy the way he put that grammar, when you ask anyone to come to take over Nigeria, he will enter into trouble. There, finally, regarding the article is the problem for the PDP. If the article could be removed, it's like a system called mathematics, substitution and elimination. Until that thing is applied, finally, that of a Benin State and Beneto, what kind of panel they want to put in place? They know what happened. They should get it right. They are our chief Oba. They need to get involved. Nigeria leadership is a long road project. A demanding one. I want to be a leader. So they should remove from that one. They need to be taught and be knowledgeable on the daily talking for you.
Appreciate your comment.
Any coalition. There we are waiting for him.
Okay.
We want to know where it's going. And as touching the issue of
National Secretary Anyanwu.
Anyanwu, it is the confusion is coming from the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yes. You see, Anyanwu was the national secretary. He left the position to contest for governorship. So, and somebody Okoye took over. Then when he failed, he now came back, said, look, I want that seat back. It's not done. And the people said, look, you are no longer the secretary. He went to court. So, and the court said